Wonderful good day, ladies and gentlemen. Precious Metal Summit 2015 on the second day in the second half here, and we are almost done, but we found another interesting company here out of the Sudan, working in the Sudan, which is pretty interesting. The first time that I'm talking to a company working in Sudan, Orca Gold. And with me here is Hugh, Stuart, the president and CEO. Thank you very much for taking the time, Hugh.
No, it's a pleasure.
Orca Gold, what's your company about? I mean, Sudan, very interesting, but first of all, give us a short overview, please.
Yeah, Orca Gold came out of, was set up in about 2012 by the previous management of a company called Redback Mining, which was acquired by Kinross in late 2010. The management really had a free rein. We started up as a private company, had a free rein to look at gold projects in Africa, and decided on Sudan mainly because it hosts around 250,000 square kilometers of the Nubian Shield, has had almost no exploration, and yet the same rocks in other countries like Saudi Arabia, Eritrea, Egypt, all host significant gold deposits. We've been working there since about 2012. We made the discovery as a private company in late 2012, pretty much with our first drill hole, which intersected 94 meters at 2.35, the very first hole we drilled on the project. We've been working on it since. We're currently at a level where we have just over 2 million ounces in resource to grade of about 1.8. And having listed...
It's open pittable then?
It's open pittable. It's all, probably 80% of the resource is within 150 meters of surface.
Wow, that's comfortable.
And we listed in 2013 through a reverse takeover of a company called Canaco, which allowed us to keep the shell and a large amount of cash that they had at the time was 60 million in cash. So currently here, at the end of, approaching the end of 2015, we're sitting with 20 million in cash.
Wow, that's pretty comfortable.
No, it makes a difference in this market.
Yeah, definitely. Can you comment a little bit on Sudan, please? Yeah, because you know what we hear the news, let's say in the European press, is only I would more say a little bit of the negative side, but I'm pretty confident that you can clear that off a bit.
Yeah, Sudan is exactly as you say. It's a perception that the political risk and the issues are a perception based on what you see in the media in the West. Sudan has actually had a very stable government for the last 20, 25 years. It is a very liberal country in its outlook. And obviously having oil revenue for a lot of the last 20, 30 years, they've invested that very wisely, so there's very good infrastructure. Security-wise, most people, when you say, oh, there's a war going on and there's all these problems, that's actually in the South Sudan, which was split off from the main part of Sudan in 2011. So Sudan as itself is a great place to work. The government is extremely supportive. Having lost obviously some of their oil reserves to the south, they're very keen on developing a gold mining industry. So incredibly supportive. And over the last few years, there's been a huge increase in artisanal mining in Sudan, such that this year Sudan will probably be the third largest gold producer in Africa.
Do you face any issues with
No, we're working in the middle of the desert. We're 4 hours from the nearest town, and there are thousands of artisanal miners within probably 20 kilometers of us.
Okay.
We have no security in Sudan. We travel very easily in Sudan, and we have very good relations with both the sort of local administration, but also the miners on our license. It's an easy place to work. People are good. Standard of English in the technical staff is excellent. We've got some superb young Sudanese geologists that work extremely hard, and it's an easy place to work. I mean, it sounds like I'm promoting it, but it is really no different to working anywhere else in Africa. And I've spent most of my career doing exploration in Africa, and it's a nice place to work.
Super. As you just said, you are in the middle of the desert. That raises with me the question about infrastructure, maybe also for future mining, for future production.
No, exactly. Obviously, as we look to advance the project, we've got a fairly solid resource now, just over 2 million ounces. And we're starting to look towards PEA studies and trying to develop that. And that's going to be a key aspect of it. Sudan as a whole has good infrastructure, good deep water ports. We have tarmac roads to within probably 200 kilometers of the project. So that infrastructure coming across the desert will be important. Luckily, there's another project, Managem, the Moroccan parastatal company, have a project about halfway. So we're hoping some of those costs will be shared between the two companies. Obviously, water is an issue. There is no water in block 14, and one possibility is running a pipeline to the Nile, which we think can be done. But crucially, just to the north of the license, there is a sandstone basin which extends all the way through to Libya and Chad. And in 2014, we actually did some work and found water in an aquifer in those sandstones within about 50 kilometers of the project. So
that's manageable.
we're hoping, we're actually doing some work at the moment to try and expand on that water discovery to determine whether we can supply a mine with the sort of 2 to 3 million cubic meters of water it needs a year from that aquifer system.
Okay, great. What are your plans for 2016? How do you want to advance the project?
I think the next stage for us in going into 2016 is obviously managing our cash very carefully, being very careful in terms of how we spend it. In terms of the project, I think the next stage is to progress to a PEA, and we'll be presenting that plan to our board in the next few weeks. And then probably the first part of 2016 will be based on working on the PEA, continuing exploration, because we still have a huge license. The license is still, after renewal, is 3,700 square kilometers in size.
That's pretty big, yeah.
So pretty big, and really, I mean, we've spent most of the time just following artisanal miners, and so we want to start. We'll continue exploring, but the focus, at least in the early part of next year, will be on cash management, but also on completing a PEA. And obviously, in this market, it's got to be a solid PEA that works at these gold prices.
Yeah, you need a good IRR on that. Yeah, that's right.
Exactly. That's going to be the key.
Fantastic. So with the cash, you think 2016-17 you are safe, right?
Yeah, I think if we manage it well, and we don't see any need in the near future to go to the market, which again is a positive at these share price levels. So we'll continue to be very careful with that, and it should last.
Fantastic. Hugh, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
For that overview. And we look forward then to some good results and to the PEA of course, next year.
No, thanks very much.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, there was Hugh Stuart from Orca Gold, and you heard it. Very interesting in Sudan to have a exploration development project, and hopefully they want to bring this or can bring this into production, and already over 2 million ounces of gold are in the resource, and they will start with the PEA next year. So $20 million in cash. That's a comfortable cushion to have in those markets, and at least for the next 2 years they are financed. So check out the company. Thanks, and bye-bye from Zurich.